baby. It's all about San Diego, baby. We represent everybody, and we do it. They're in playoffs, we're in the postseason. It's a hell of a year for the San Diegos.
That's exactly what I envisioned. I knew the roster we had here. I know the will to win that's here from AJ, from the top, from Schill, and this is why you play baseball right here, to pop champagne and celebrate.
I mean, I love it, but the work's not over. We still got a long way to go. Because you clinch a playoff doesn't mean you've done anything crazy.
Euphoria. It's awesome. I feel so great, but we're not done. It's just starting right now.
Motion, I mean, what do you think? I think it was just the inability to find the strike zone, to be honest with you. I had a really tough
You
time
hate the
with that.
media.
But
Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him.
But at the same time, I was able to make the pitches in the right count, and I had Ron.
Good morning, good afternoon. I think it's Tuesday. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I'm Marty Cassavell. That is AJ Cassavell. We are brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. That the Padres have clinched a playoff spot. There's a lot to get to today, but that last portion with Nick Pivetta was one of my favorite parts of yesterday's celebration because
I wasn't there. I missed that one.
Oh, you missed that. He's just so stoic, and he doesn't hesitate. He is focused on delivering his answer about his pitching performance, despite Michael King pouring champagne or beer on his head. So that was great. AJ, how are you? I'm glad you survived. I'm so sorry. I feel like there's beer and old champagne and maybe tequila in my head right now, and I'm kind of feeling it today. How you doing today?
Yeah, I also haven't showered since the celebration, so I don't really know. I got sprayed with a few boozy liquids, but I don't know. I'm doing good. I kind of just woke up. It's one of those games where like so much happened in the game, and then there's a celebration, and there's a million things to write about, and then I get home, and like most of the time I can get home and like wind down relatively easily, but there was so much going on that wasn't going to happen. So I had to put on a half of a soccer game just to like zone out. It was a lot yesterday.
Okay, I can now. Normally, before you come on the show, I make sure that I read your stuff. I read what you wrote, but I'm still catching up on everything that happened yesterday. What was your top take going into the Padres clinching yesterday versus the Brewers?
Well, I think to me, the biggest storyline, and I think there's a couple different ways you could go with this, but to me, the biggest one is just that like they've done it in back-to-back years. They've done it in 4 of 6 years. This is not a thing that the Padres historically have gotten to do. Like that picture right there on the field, celebrating and popping the champagne and decking the lockers with plastic wrap and spraying champagne and doing all that. Like, and now it's starting to feel like it's a habit, which is I think it says something about where the Padres are. Like it's really fun to be in a city where the teams do this regularly. And like, there are other teams that recently have done it more than the Padres, but the fact that they're like one of the perennial contenders, one of the perennial heavyweights, which I think is kind of all you if you're a fan, all you want to ask for is to be in the mix regularly. You could ask for a few more wins. You could ask for a division title. I guess that's still possible, but like the fact that it's becoming a habit that the Padres get to do this and get to celebrate, and that like last night was cool, but it didn't feel rare. Like I remember when they clinched in 2000 and some of the moments they had in 2022, those felt like they hadn't happened in forever. And this one felt like, well, they're just back to the playoffs where they should be, which I think was very noteworthy. So the fact that they have back-to-back postseasons for the first time in 19 years since 2005-06, and the fact that they've reached 4 times in 6 years for the first time in franchise history, like that's what the story of last night was. There's a lot of other different angles to it, but that was the biggest one.
I would completely agree with you. And I thought that Jackson Merrill pretty much echoed what you just said. Like, it's not a surprise. They expect to be there. That's the expectation. All Jackson Merrill has known since he was with the Padres is winning. He expects to be in a postseason every year. But then you have a guy like Gavin Sheets, who talked about going his rookie year in 2021 with the White Sox, and just how sweet that moment it was for them to go ahead and get back. I'll tell you what, one of my observations, number one, it was a bit more of a muted celebration considering other celebrations in the past. And maybe it's because you didn't have Ha-Sung Kim and Leo and Gangnam Style playing the background. And also, that was kind of missing the post game. And there was also no Tatis yesterday in the celebration. He's usually the star of that celebration, the dancing, the shirtless. I think Manny Machado did a good job, taking on that responsibility. But it just felt a little bit different, that the Padres aren't necessarily satisfied with just clinching a playoff spot. They want more. They want the division. I know they talked about that. They want to host a wild card series, and perhaps they may not have time to go ahead and do that. But I think they need to have a deeper run for this to really feel like it's something special.
I completely agree, and I think those two things are tied together. Like the fact that last night was a little bit more muted than I think some of their celebrations were, and the fact that like they have made this the norm in San Diego, like getting to the postseason. Well, then it's natural to kind of ask, like, what's the next step? And the obvious next step is that, like, they need to get back to the World Series. They need to win the franchise's first World Series. Like those are the main goals. And when you're reaching the playoffs regularly, you can. I don't think the celebration was like too toned down. Like, look at these videos. Like it was still pretty raucous. But I would agree,
Yes.
it wasn't one of those where it was just like kind of pure jubilation and just kind of a starstruck the Padres being like just happy to be there. Like I think they're pretty much everyone we talked to last night was like, yeah, this is fun, but there's more to come.
I found very fitting that the person who delivered the walk-off was Freddie for me. We spent so much time before the trade deadline talking about how the Padres needed to go ahead and address their needs, especially when it comes to their catcher, the black hole in the number 9 spot. And Freddie Fermin, who came in as a pinch hitter and replaced Diaz behind the plate. He delivers it. A little bit fitting that Nick Pivetta, the AJ Preller's biggest signing in the offseason, in a very quiet season, is the one that started and Fermin delivered. So I thought that was kind of fitting too for the Padres.
Completely. And the trade deadline is also a big aspect of all this. The fact that I don't know if the Padres, I mean, they probably reached postseason without those guys, but like if they reach the playoffs without all the moves they made at the trade deadline, you're not looking at a team that you feel has a chance to make a deep run. I'm looking at this roster because they have Laureano and O'Hearn and Fermin as part of their offense, and because they have Mason Miller in their bullpen to lock down whatever the most important back end lane is. Like now I'm looking at that roster as a team that has a chance to make a run to a World Series. I wouldn't be otherwise. I think it might be a playoff team otherwise. And so I think, like you said, the fact that Fermin got that hit, the fact that like he got that hit and his teammates just mobbed him and they were all over him in the celebration, and the fact that like this is a guy that's only been there for 2 months, I think that says something. So I think like, yeah, it's testament in part to what the Padres did at the trade deadline to make sure that this roster was good enough, not just to get to the postseason, but to do damage in the postseason.
In what ways are the Padres a more dangerous playoff team going in than they were last year? And that was a very talented roster last season too.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year's team, you could look at it and say it might have been better. Better teams don't always win in the postseason. Like just because the Padres are better than they were last year, I don't. Are you frozen, Marty? I may have just checked out of this. Check.
Am I frozen? Sorry, guys. I'm back.
Am I good? Am I good to go?
You're good. I see you.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, essentially, I just think I like, where are they better than last year? Maybe the bullpen. I don't think the rotation, but then are we talking the rotation before Musgrove gets hurt or after Musgrove gets hurt? The lineup, I think, was probably a little better. I don't know. It was good both seasons. Like Profar was obviously a huge part of last year's team. So, but even if I'm saying that last year's team is better, like last year's team was a World Series caliber team. Like if that team beats the Dodgers, I think they're winning the World Series. So like to say that they're maybe a step down from that team, which I think I'm fairly comfortable in saying that. Like they're not quite as good or as they're not rolling the way that team was going into the playoffs. That doesn't mean they can't win the World Series. Like teams have done that before. Last year's Dodgers team, I think, was like the 9th or 10th best. I don't know. I'm just saying that off the top of my head, but it certainly wasn't the best Dodgers team we've seen. Right. That was the team that happened to do it. Like if this team can get hot at the right time and it has the pieces to win, which starts with that bullpen and starts with their ability to shorten games, I think like that is a recipe for postseason success. Where are they better? They have built themselves a recipe, a very clear path to this is how they're going to win games. They're going to get 4 innings in, and then they're going to just bullpen you with some of the best arms in baseball. And you know what? I think one of the key areas where they're better is obviously they have Mason Miller, but like This is also a very different version of Adrian Morejon. Like these are some of the best back end relievers in baseball.
Okay, you got to the pitching, and we're going to go there next. Randy Vasquez starts tonight, right? And I think Mike Schultz said in the post game that Dylan Cease goes tomorrow. The finale versus the Brewers. What happens after that?
I have to think that Michael King gets another start just to kind of get you get him in his rhythm, and the fact that Michael King he can make that start and still pitch game 2 of the series on regular rest.
So that would be Friday because they have the off day Thursday, so he would have the opener versus the D-backs on Friday. I
think that would make a lot of sense, and I don't think they're going to push Michael King 110 pitches and wear him out going after a game against the Diamondbacks. But I think if they start him in that game, and I could be completely wrong about this, they could have him throw a simulated game on Thursday, get him that extra day of rest going into the playoffs. Like that is also possible. I think the likeliest is that King pitches Friday, Darvish pitches Saturday, and then if those are the two that you line up for games 2 and 3, which I don't know about you, but like right now, that's my thought process is the guys I would trust the most, probably King, Darvish, because Cease has been so inconsistent, because Vasquez hasn't pitched that deep into games, and because Darvish, frankly, hasn't been great, but he's been better since he changed that arm slot. You could pitch them Friday, Saturday in shorter outings and then line them up for games 2 and 3 in Chicago. Or you know what? I mean, it's not that implausible that I'll wait and see what happens tonight. If the Cubs lose with their ace, Cade Horton, on the mound, and the Padres win, like this could be a wild card series at Petco Park. I wouldn't rule that out.
I'm still holding out hope for a Wandy Peralta opener game, but that would probably happen in a desperate situation if the Padres were down. They were down in the situation, and they had some. That could happen. Why not?
I haven't checked. I haven't done my series preparation against the Cubs yet. Like the specifics of the Cubs. Like against the Dodgers, that made a lot of sense when Ohtani. It was, I think, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman is your first 3. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what the Cubs lineup is. So you know what? I don't know if their lineup for the last few games is all that indicative. But I don't really see it happening.
Okay.
Who knows?
So how much do you? Now you mentioned that Dylan Cease is going tomorrow. Do you think that he's going to be depth? So right, you don't think he has too much of a chance unless Darvish struggles mightily. Do you think that the plan for Dylan Cease going forward, regardless of what he does tomorrow, is maybe mid relief, maybe go
They still need someone to start game 1 of a division series, which would be against the Brewers. So, maybe you don't want to throw Dylan Cease and have him face the team that he will be facing. I don't know. That's a different conversation. But they need a number 4 starter, assuming they go 3 games in the wild card series, win that game 3, and then face the Brewers. Like last year, this was the conversation we were having about Darvish, who seemed to be out of that rotation mix. He was their number 4 starter, but they decided to go with him in game 2, and he was so good in game 2 against the Dodgers that they went back with him again in game 5. I think there's a possibility that Dylan Cease is just depth, that Dylan Cease covers middle innings. I don't know, covers length. Obviously, postseason doesn't have the runner on second to start an extra inning, and therefore, you gotta be ready for the possibility of a 16-inning game. But I don't know. I would trust Cease the least of that group of starters right now, just given the way his stuff's obviously awesome, but he doesn't seem to put it together consistently. And in a short postseason series, I'm a little shaky on whether I would want to be at risk of falling behind quickly 2 or 3-0. Now, in game 1 of a division series, if you can just if you're riding the high of winning a wild card series and you have a couple losses to play with, and you have a guy whose stuff could set the tone of a series, I think that can make sense. I think you line Dylan Cease up for game 1 in Milwaukee, and you're happy with that. But I would, the way I would do it for this wild card series, assuming it's against the Cubs, is Pivetta, King, Darvish.
Okay, a question that I've been asking you for the past, I want to say the month or so since you've been joining me. Do the Padres right now on September 23rd? And I heard Manny Machado was very funny in pregame saying that he is not ready to concede the division or the wild card just yet. Do they right now, as they finish the season at home, have a better chance at catching the Cubs in the wild card and avoiding that trip to Wrigley Field, or catching the Dodgers in the NL West? Both. Now, Cubs are home, right?
Both are unlikely.
Okay.
The Cubs are home. I don't know if they're home this weekend. I haven't checked, but I assume they would be, right?
I think desperate Mets team, and then they have the Cardinals, division rival this weekend.
Yes, they play the Cardinals this weekend. I have it right here. Yes, they're home. They're home for both of them. Dodgers have a tough schedule. I think both are unlikely. Like the Padres would have to go. I think there's a pretty good chance the Padres would have to go 6-0 to overtake the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5-1 if the Dodgers just completely collapse. I think that's less likely. The Padres would have the tiebreaker against the Cubs because like that comes down to head-to-head and then comes down to divisional games, and the Cubs getting swept by the Reds last week swung that in the Padres' favor, which means like again, I'm gonna wait until I see what happens tonight to like know whether I should start like thinking the Padres have a chance at the wild card because the Cubs have their ace on the mound and they're facing a bad Mets team. But if the Mets win that game, maybe start to show little signs of life. And if the Cubs lose that game with their ace, and if the Padres win and cut it to 1.5 games, I think it's completely feasible that the Padres could see that carrot of knowing that they could have home games at Petco Park in the postseason and really go for it and catch the Cubs. So more likely, I think, by a decent amount is catching the Cubs and getting the top wild card.
Nick Pivetta has been he's had a great season regardless. He's been fantastic at Petco Park. If the Padres and all the teams play at 12 o'clock on Sunday, if the Padres had a chance of locking in a wild card, winning, the top wild card and hosting at Petco, you know where I'm going with this, AJ?
No chance.
There was no chance they would start Pivetta on Sunday with a chance to play at home in front of their fans rather than hop on a plane and go to Wrigley Field.
Yeah, but then without Nick Pivetta. Or at least you don't have Nick Pivetta till late in the series, and then he's fatigued. I just think it like strategically, if you're going for a bye, if that division title got you a bye to the second round of the playoffs, I think you absolutely start Nick Pivetta in that game because winning it gets you a week off and essentially is the same as winning a wild card series. It does not come with a bye. The Phillies and Brewers have run away with that, and therefore I think I just think you slow play Pivetta. I think you need to talk with Pivetta. It's not like entirely determined that his regular season's over. I think it will be, but some guys like to throw an inning or two just to stay fresh getting ready for the postseason. He will have the opportunity to throw 2 bullpen sessions. I think it lines up pretty nicely. He'll have his normal rest days, then bullpen, and then just another rest day and a bullpen before his start against the Cubs, presuming it is against the Cubs. But you line him up, you get him as rested as you possibly can. You go after that game 1 because winning game 1 in a 3-game series is obviously crucially important. And then you ride it from there. You hope Michael King's Michael King. You hope the bullpen is the bullpen, and you hope that gets you to what would be a second round series against the Brewers. And based on what I saw last night, that would be a fun series.
I would tend to agree with you, and I think Mike Schultz said yesterday in pregame that he pretty much they have a very good idea what their rotation looks like. So I don't know that you're going to go herky jerky and throw Nick Pivetta out there when you have things set up for a wild card series, and not just the wild card series. You probably have it set up for the divisional series as well. All right, so Xander Bogaerts returns tonight, right? Just about a little over a month removed from his fractured left foot. How big a deal to get Bogaerts back in that lineup and get him some reps before the postseason starts?
I think it's perfect. I think it's the perfect kind of runway into the postseason to give him, like you even have the off day Thursday. You get him 2 games and an off day, and then you probably get him 2 games over the weekend and then an off day, and then it's go time. It is the perfect kind of build up to the playoffs for Bogaerts, and it's huge for the Padres because their offense is all of a sudden essentially whole, and they haven't really had that. You look at the way the season has gone, the guys that have been hurt throughout, like I think it was early, it was Cronenworth, and then it was Merrill a couple times, and obviously Bogaerts. A lot of these guys have missed time kind of sporadically throughout the season, and obviously the trade deadline was massive in making the Padres offense deep enough to withstand any losses. But if everyone's healthy, it gives them a really deep team, like one of these lefty bats is going to have to come off the bench.
Okay.
And that's huge. That is hugely helpful because you're going to have a big spot in a game where you're going to pinch hit. And if you're bringing Gavin Sheets or Ryan O'Hearn off the bench, you're in really good shape. Like you're going to like your chances in that at bat. Both of those guys have experience doing that role, so it's not going to feel out of the ordinary to them. Yeah, I mean, I just think like the Padres offense should feel pretty good about its depth and its length, and like you got guys like Jake Cronenworth the at-bats he takes in the number 8 spot are just
Mm-hmm.
incredible. I can't imagine there's any other 8 hitter in the league that works at-bats like that. And then Freddie Fermin is just, he doesn't give away at-bats. His numbers aren't incredible, but for a catcher, they're just fine. And he's a tough at-bat at the bottom of the lineup, turning things over to the top.
You mentioned the health that the Padres want to get their team whole. Yesterday, of course, it was a bit of a different lineup because Laureano had a scheduled off day. He's played like every inning since he was traded, and then Tatis is sick. How big a deal? How concerned should people be with Tatis being sidelined? Now, Mike Schultz said in postgame that he was still very, very sick, and they're waiting for the results of the testing. So, are we thinking common cold or something more? I know you're not a doctor, AJ. But
not a doctor, nor have I had a consultation with Tatis to see. I think based on what we heard last night, just based on what we heard, I would guess he's not here the next 2 days. He misses the rest of the series. There's also they would love to win the division. They would love to get home games, but they would love a rested, healthy Tatis. And then I bet he's back for the weekend. So I'm not, based on what we've heard, I'm not too concerned given the timing of this. If this were happening on Saturday, it would be a lot more concerning. It's happening on Tuesday with a week to go till the postseason. Like a week from right now. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the calendar. What time is it? 10:50.
Oh my goodness.
We're a week from. I'm looking at the schedule and what it could be. I'm guessing these are going to be late afternoon. So we're a week and a couple hours away from a game. I think that's enough time for Tatis to get back.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you're reading your mind yesterday for completely selfish reasons, right? I'm picking your brain, asking you what time are these games going to be, because all 4 games there's 4 games a day, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly Thursday, depending on if they need it. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be overlap, but based on, I'm sure the networks want the Yankees or the Dodgers with the Ohtani factor in prime time. So you feel pretty good that the Padres would likely play earlier in the day, especially day games at Wrigley Field. That seems to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think there's also something to that, the tradition of it all, day games at Wrigley Field. I don't even know if I'm supposed to speculate, given I work for MLB.com.
No,
but
I want you to speculate.
I think if I'm speculating,
okay,
that's what it would be. I think the Yankees and the Dodgers get those late slots, and I don't necessarily know that it's an 11 o'clock start Pacific time, 1 o'clock local. These times could change based on what the matchups are and what the networks want. But maybe 3 in the afternoon local, so 1 o'clock here. It'll be, I don't know. It'll be most likely day games, which I think maybe kind of stinks for some people at work in San Diego, but I also think is kind of cool. Day games in the postseason at Wrigley Field, to me, that selfishly, and I know there's a lot of people that it will not be great for, but selfishly, I think that's kind of cool. I think the history of it all and what that is. Then again, they could be at Petco Park too. So we'll see. I think we'll learn more tonight.
Hey, AJ, this is important stuff. People need to figure out how to go ahead and line up their work schedules, their conferences, take their kids out of school. So you're doing everybody a favor. I know you have to hustle.
That is true. That's what I would say. Yeah. That's what I would say. I would say if you're a Padre fan kind of wondering, don't count on it being day games, but start your planning now, because next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're going to be 3 potentially pretty huge games that could come in the middle of your day. So if you've got PTO or something, be ready to potentially use it then.
Reschedule any doctor's appointments and just make sure that you have a nice finish strong this week, and hopefully like the Padres. All right, last thing. After last night's umpiring, how excited are you? How excited should baseball be for ABS coming most likely in 2026?
Yeah, I think it just got approved, right? My phone's been blowing up since this. Yeah, since this. I don't know this because I'm
okay.
My phone's going here and I'm talking here, but I'm excited. I think it's the ABS challenge system. My personal preference is just an automated strike zone. If I think we're going to get to a point where someone has used their challenges and there's going to be another call that blatantly misses, and if we know the answer in real time, why not just use that? That's what I would like to see. But I think there's some cool theatrical aspects of ABS. We saw it in spring training. It was fun to see the video board and like at a tennis match, like a big tennis match where everyone kind of waits for, did the ball go in or did it go out? That's fun. There's some drama to that. I'm also not a big ump guy. I just think the good teams are the ones that deal with the bad calls. And so if we can get more calls right, I'm all for it. If we get the most calls right, I'm all for it. I'm more for it if we can do so in real time, if we can do so quicker, if we can do so to the point where like we know these answers really quickly, which I think you can do with an ABS challenge system, which should be very good for the sport. Interesting to see kind of how it changes what catchers do, but it'll be there's a lot of aspects to it that we can unpack. But obviously another month and a half of baseball still before we get there.
Absolutely. AJ Cassavell, you're the absolute best. Thanks for doing this. I know I got home around almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I took a shower. I still smell like champagne and old beer. I had to go through all my clothes, my credentials, everything is disgusting. So thanks for doing this. I know that you had to work even later last night. I appreciate you. I will see you later on today at Petco Park. And then hopefully next week when we do this, maybe we're at the Cubby Bear, maybe we're at Murph's somewhere after a game having a beer. Is it old style? What do they drink in Chicago? Old style?
Gumball Head.
What is
I
it?
don't know what light beer they drink, but Gumball Head is
Gumball Head?
No, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
Oh,
It's like a pale wheat. It's good. It's a good beer. You'll like it.
We're gonna do this over a beer. I look forward to it. You're the best. Thanks for doing this. I'll see you later on at Petco Park. That's AJ Cassavell. I'm Marty Cassavell. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I hope you guys took AJ Cassavell's advice to heart. Next week, you should probably think about getting out of work early, taking your kids out, because these games are likely to be day games, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're going to want the Yankees and, of course, the Ohtani factor in prime time. That's it for me, guys. I will be at Petco Park later on today. Hopefully have an update on Xander Bogaerts' return, when Tatis can return. And if you missed, and there's a ton of post-game from yesterday, AJ Preller talking about the playoffs, Nick Pivetta, Manny Machado, who else was just everybody? Mason Miller, Gavin Sheets, Jackson Merrill. It's on there at Marty Time TV. Thanks all for watching. Have a wonderful day. And I will talk to you. If not, I'll talk to you tomorrow and also Thursday. And I'm excited to have Tim Kirchin on Friday. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Brought to you again by the all new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I need to get ready for Petco Park. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.